Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel, Bleulotus.Gardens. My name is Bleu Phoenix. My pronouns are she, her. Welcome. Thank you for joining me today. Today is going to be a Plant Care Tuesday video, so I have made a special video for this Tuesday. It's one of my favorite plants, so this will be a Hoya Plant Care Tuesday video. This will be a video about all the knowledge that I've obtained throughout the years that I've been growing Hoyas and learning about plants and my found knowledge. So basically trial and error. I'm not a botanist, definitely not a botanist, not specialized in any fields or anything like that. But I like sharing my found knowledge with others because it helps others grow also, and then we all have different plant care needs, so it's great learning about everyone else's and molding my own plant care to what I've learned from other people as well. So I hope you enjoy it. This is a very fun video that I hope you all like. Let's get into it. Okay, so first we're going to start off with what is a Hoya. A Hoya is a vining epiphytic plant. As you see here, it vines a lot. So there's a lot of different types of Hoyas that vine, and they grow really fast sometimes. Sometimes they grow really slow depending on the species or variety of the plant. And so it usually is located in like South America, or like in the South Asian Pacific Islands, or like like New Guinea, and then Australia as well. And so you can find them vining, and there's tons of them. So they're also in the milkweed family, so that's what I've learned as well. And they produce a nice bloom, so once you start growing it, you'll eventually like have them bloom. Some take a little bit longer than others, and some require a little bit higher food than others, but it's all like trial and error. It depends on also your plant care and how you are caring for it. So like if you're caring it for in leca, or or soils, or cocoa husk and perlite, so there's different ways of growing it. So various different mediums, all sorts of varieties of Hoyas. They all pretty much relatively have the same care. They're, in my opinion, very easy going, unless you get the very tricky kind of like small leaf Hoyas. Those are usually the hardest ones that I have. And we'll let people know usually which ones they are. But once you get into Hoyas, you will not regret it, in my opinion. There's just so many, and there's so many wonderful ones. So this is the part where, after the location, we'll talk about the variety of Hoyas. So the variety of Hoyas, there's different varieties. There's some that are thicker leaf than others, and it's important to know that because the thicker leaf ones can handle a little bit more like direct sun for longer periods, and the thinner leaf ones cannot. So let me show you here. As you see, the thinner leaf one right here, this is an Australis subspecies Brookfield. So it's located in Brookfield, Australia, Brookfield. But it has been damaged by the sun because I left it out in the sun a little bit too long in direct light. So it'll cause these kind of like white splotching onto the plant. So if you have seen that on your plant, it is not pest. That is because it was damaged from direct sun, as you see. And so the plant has crisped up, damaged, but it's still producing photosynthesis. So that's how I see it. And usually until like the other parts of the plant start to grow more, I'll definitely remove the damaged foliage just in case if it does attract pests later on. But most of them do not, like if they receive a little bit of like sun damage like this. This is the thicker leaf Hoya. This is a Hoya latifolia. I do have this one in my shop also. So this Hoya does grow quite fast, in my opinion. And and while we're talking about the Hoya and the different varieties, I'll talk to y'all about the plant itself. So this whole vining part right here, this is called a tendril. This whole thing, that whole thing, this whole vining part, that's a tendril. That's where it will produce its foliage and have its nodes. Right here, as you see those little bumps right there, those are the nodes. That is where the foliage will emerge. And if we go further down, you'll see one of them has emerged from one of those nodes. Very cool, huh? So it also will produce aerial roots, and that's how you know that it's an epiphytic plant. It has those roots that will come out. I'm trying to look for some of that right now. Okay, here's some. Here's some little baby roots that it's putting out. As you see right here, those are little roots, and those are epiphytic roots. And so what it means is that those roots in the wild would attach onto like bark or some sort of substrate and would hold onto it and grow from there. They like to be trellised. I do not have any trellises at the moment, but that's why none of them are trellised. But we will be cutting some of them and propagating them later on. But that's how you could tell. And some varieties also sun stress. So the darker portions will turn a little bit more red. Let me see if I can find one. Here's one of the smaller ones. So as you see, this is the Hoya Bois. The little red foliage, the little red leaf is sun stressed and is okay. It's not damaged or anything. It just means that it has received a lot of light, that it has caused it to turn like either pink or red, some sort of color along those lines. So that way it's okay. It just gives us this nice little pretty color, as you see. Trying to show you as close up as I can before it gets all blurry. I think that's good. And then this is a different variety, as I was mentioning earlier. This is the small leaf variety, well, one of them at least. This is the Hoya Bella Bois. I'll put the names on the screen for y'all so that way y'all can see it. This is one of the different varieties of the Hoya Bellas. So the Hoya Bella has, I'll put on because I don't have them, unfortunately. There's the Hoya Bella Albo. There's the Hoya Bella, the original variant, which is just the all green, super pretty, grows really easily. This shaped leaf, elliptical, I would say, elliptical, elongated almost, with a green border on the margin of the foliage. The margin of the foliage meaning the rim of the foliage, so like the outer part of the foliage. That's the rim, that's the margin, if you want to know that. I love sharing my knowledge about Hoyas because it helps me know more on how to like care for them better, if that makes any sense. Like once you know all this knowledge, you're like, okay, that's how I take care of this one, that's how I take care of this one. And then after knowing how to take care of those specific ones, you know how to venture off into whatever else you are more comfortable with. But yes, so the tendrils, the nodes, the leaf, foliage emerges, margin, sun stressed, and that some don't sun stress, and it's usually the more thinner leaves. Some also have a speckling to it, which is also referred to splashing, as you see here. So this is a thicker leaf, but it is sun damaged, as you see here, with that white spot on it.
that has been damaged because I left it out too long in the sun. I forgot about this one. It was on the side of my house. I forgot it there while I was moving things around, but it popped out a tendril for me, so I think that's pretty cool. And those little baby leaves, look. Tiny little leaves. So this one is the Hoya parasitica splash, and the splash is that silver spotting around it, as you see, and that's usually really nice, and it causes that silver tint to the foliage. Speaking about silver Hoyas, I'll introduce another one. It is in a semihydro setup, meaning semihydro is that it is in water with some sort of like leca or lechuzepon or perlite. Some people put it in perlite. This is my Hoya carnosa Argentine princess, Argentina princess. Super pretty. Okay, so it's in leca, as you see. This is semihydro, and it's been growing really well like this. And right now I kind of have it in my grow tent just because I think it's doing better in there for the light that it's receiving. It's a little bit stronger than these lights over here. These are more for like once I acclimate all the plants in there, I move them over here just to kind of have that supplemental light going, and I don't have to move back and forth between my greenhouse and my studio. So that's how I see it. But this one's really pretty. I love this one a lot. And then this is that silver foliage, as you see. This one is variegated, and it's known to revert. Right now, it's just doing a lot of silver. This new leaf might look variegated, but I'm not sure. But it's right here. So that's where it comes from. This is its original leaf, and the variegation came from inside that foliage. So I'm hoping after like some time that it's grown, it'll push off more variegation. But these are also really hard to find, and that's why a lot of people just kind of like hold on to them, because we hope that it'll like variegate for us, so that way we could like recuperate just a little bit from it. But I still like it. It's pretty. I love that silver foliage, and that silver foliage is caused by air pockets that are trapped inside the foliage of the plant. So it causes air pockets in the foliage, which will make the silver tint around on the leaf. I think that's so wild and so cool how it does that. And so this is semihydro because it's in leca, and this is semihydro because this is in pon and what is the other one? Stratum. So the bottom right here, as you see, it has stratum and then pon. And the way I set it up this way, because these little small leaf Hoyas are so hard for me to water, because I'll overwater them so much that they'll die like that. So I put stratum in the bottom and pon, and that has helped me out because I just put a little bit of water, and that little bit of water goes a long way. So and then I know whenever it's done, because it'll feel lighter and there's no water in here, and like whenever I squeeze it, there's no more water that will come out. So that's how I gauge my pond, because some of the Hoyas do prefer to grow in pond because they like to stay more hydrated that way. But as you see, like, it could also result in losing a plant. So definitely learn from my mistakes. So there's different Hoyas that require different lighting. Some also require a little bit more humidity than others, and those will be usually the more fuzzy type Hoyas. So I don't have any of them with me, but like I believe the Serpents likes it a little bit more humid than the other ones. So I usually keep my
Hoyas in my plants in usually average humidity, so it would usually stay around like maybe I would say 60 to like 70, maybe just 65 for a more average temp, which most of these plants in here are fine. And if they need extra humidity, they usually are in the repurposed fish. They are usually in the repurposed fish tanks, closed off to receive a little bit more higher humidity. But usually everything's in 65% humidity, and then I keep everything for lighting around maybe I would say 70 to sometimes like 80 Fahrenheit, and that depends if it's like usually the more like TC plants are the ones that are in higher humidity and higher temperatures, but most of everything else is like average, so like 65, 75 usually. But that's how I keep a lot of my plants, and they do well like that. And I use a lot of supplemental lighting, as you see here, over there, and then under here, and then I also have the grow tent and then my greenhouse outside. But I think the important thing is like setting your plants up in a substrate that is good with you and with your plant care, and you're just going to have to kind of like feel it out, and then also like just listen to what other people are saying and then work that out on your own, so that way you know what works better for you. Because I mean, we all do everything so differently, but it's good to know what we all do. That's how I see it, you know. And then different. Oh, then one different thing. Some Hoyas have accession numbers. This one's a little bit more expensive and rare. This one's a Hoya carrii. Super pretty. Sheen Hoya. This is a Sheen Hoya. So this is the newest type Hoya that I am growing, and I am very new to it because it's like I almost killed it once, and I'm so glad that it came back because it grows really slow. This is one of the slower growing Hoyas, and so I definitely let y'all know. See that little white stuff on it? That's sulfur. So I also treat a lot of the plants with sulfur. I'll get into that a little bit. But accession numbers, they are registered into certain Hoyas in order to know where they're registered from, where their location from, and who registered it as well. So AH is Aloha Nursery, and then they usually register it with different numbers. So they have like 001, which is the big leaf, which is this one right here. As you see, big leaves. And a lot of people like collecting the AH Hoyas because Aloha Nurseries, I don't think they're open right now. I don't think they're open right now to the public, but you could probably check it out. They also ship overseas and stuff, but I think they have hand pollinated these plants themselves, and they have cross-pollinated these plants themselves, and so that's why I think a lot of people go for them. I like them for all their unique features and how pretty they are and how easy they are to grow. Also, that's something that's really like awesome with a difficult plant to find, is that it is also easy to care for, because you also like want to keep in mind that a lot of people that are new to Hoyas will probably eventually get to it and be like, oh, what is this? And so it being uncommon and also easy to grow makes it accessible for a lot of people to grow better, right? And then there's the other one that I have is the Hoya NS 05055. And so a lot of people ask me, how do you remember all these numbers? I write these numbers down probably every day. So inventory, talking to people, things like that, research, so that they just stay in my head. But I'm not sure what the NS means at the top of my head. I might be wrong at the moment, so I'll just write it on the screen for y'all so y'all know right here. And that way y'all know, and I remember also, because sometimes you just
can't retain everything. But this is also a really cool Hoya to have. Remember how I was talking about how like the Hoya sun stress? This Hoya sun stresses also, and what it does, it creates a nice, beautiful light green, almost like orange, slight on the more like yellow side, so it looks really pretty, like an ombre effect, kind of like a sunset almost. And so it really looks pretty, and as you grow it, you'll definitely see that see it grow if you put it in supplemental light for a little longer period of time. I would not recommend putting it in direct light. That is, this one does not go in direct light. I will let y'all know right now. One of my props did not make it because I did that. And I was like, oh, it's in the greenhouse, it'll be fine. It's kind of like bright in direct light, right? No, that was not for this one. It just, I would recommend windowsill option, supplemental light, or like if it's covered in a like a carport kind of situation, I would suggest that. But other than that, I would not. So we've spoken about lighting, we spoke about temperature, we spoke about humidity, we have spoken about the description of a Hoya. We've also spoken about accession numbers and what I know personally about accession numbers. Also features, varieties. My preferred Hoya substrate is usually soil. Oh, and then propagating a Hoya. So we're definitely going to be doing that right now because I need to get to some of these plants. This one's the Hoya Trebbiana. This one's an elongated, thick leaf Hoya with a nice matte foliage. So it's a matted leaf, and then this one's also matted, but it also has that silver foliage that I wanted to show y'all. This is also another AH Hoya. This is Hoya AH074. Very beautiful. Has that nice, gorgeous tendril there with a couple of leaves. This is also a very fast-growing Hoya. So I recommend this one for a lot of people. Usually you can find this one for relatively inexpensive. I bought mine for $20 and it grew fast. After that, I propagated it and I made my money back, and I just then after that started trading and got more different Hoyas with other people. And sometimes I'll sell little pieces here and there, or just, you know, give some away for like people that want to really get into Hoyas. I love doing that, like sharing like a fun collection, a fun Hoya that I have that people might really enjoy and be like more interested into growing plants. So I just find that so cool. So let's propagate this one. You know when to propagate a Hoya leaf is when the soil substrate is still pretty moist. It's still the soil is still hydrated, and the foliage that you're going to want is hardened off. That's something also that's very important when you're propagating Hoyas. You want to make sure that the foliage above is also hardened off. So if I want to get this one has to be hardened off, but also this one over here, because if I just cut this one off and these are not hardened off, then this will not make it. So that's what I usually wait sometimes, and then sometimes I'll just push off like a lot of growth. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut this tendril right here. You see right here? So this is the stem, and we're going to cut about all the way down here till it meets close to this end of till it meets this till it meets this like part over here of this other Hoya foliage. So let me get to that. So we're going to cut right over here. Right? Yeah, this is good so y'all can see. So you want to get clean pair of scissors, want to make sure of that. And then you just want to get all the way close to the one in the past, and then you just cut it. And as you see, this white milky substance that comes out is a latex type substance, and so you want to let this harden off, and so that way it doesn't cause any like irritation or harms you in any way, because it could also burn or cause inflammation if you like rub it on your eye, so be cautious of that. I don't wear gloves most of the time, and I should be, but you should be wearing gloves if you are new to propagating Hoyas. And then this, and you're probably wondering, well, what are you going to do with this rest of this Hoya, right? Since all these other ones are not growing. Well, since this part of the Hoya has hardened off, it has enough to help it grow. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stick it in water, and I'm just going to let it grow some roots. This one is the Hoya Scaveriana. Dee's big one, and I've mistreated this one because it was outside, and unfortunately it got burned. So, but it's one of my favorite Hoyas. It grows out in this like bird nest type shape, as you see. How cool is that? I like that. So what I want to do is make another one. There we go. Oops. And then what I use in order to callus the wounds for the Hoyas is I use a mixture of sulfur and then rooting hormone. And that's already mixed up in here. And then I just place a little bit on here, as you see, and make sure it's covered in the bottom. And that'll help your plant, it'll make sure that your like propagation actually grows, because it'll push off roots. The rooting hormone will help it push off roots, and the sulfur will help it callus without causing any like infection to the propagation. So that's what I do. Sometimes I have a lot of Hoyas that I want to propagate, and I just place them in a prop box. And so this is my vermiculite prop box because I'm trying new things. This is the year of trying new things. Why not? You know, I feel like I need to like explore more techniques and more substrates and push my plant care a little bit to where I'm like, okay, now I feel more confident in doing this and that and this. And like right over here is very off topic, but those are alocasias. Yes, those are TC alocasias. And so if you want, I'll talk to y'all about that next Tuesday, but let me know in the comments. I'll be editing this one really quickly. It's like, so, but this is the Hoya prop box, as you see here. And it has various Hoyas in here, and some of them will make it and some of them will not. And I'm hoping some of them will make it, but if they don't, well, it's okay. We'll figure it out. But it works a little bit. I do put a little higher humidity sometimes by closing the lid on it, but I try to make sure that I open it because it can also cause it to what's it called? Kill the plant. And then I also use Captain Jack's Dead Bug Brew for my pest control. I need to get another one because that was the last of that one. But that's okay.
So that's how I do it. And then that is, oh, and then so for fertilizer I use also, I want to make sure I tell y'all, Fox Farm. I'll put it right here. I use their 3-part system sometimes when I want to like really get the plants to bloom, and that really works for me. And then I also use Super Thrive for feeding, so that helps a lot with keeping your plants growing a little bit better, and then also with getting the right nutrients for them as much as needed. So I hope you all enjoy this Plant Care Tuesday video. I think it's fun. I like sharing my found knowledge with you all. Like I said, leave a comment down below with whatever plant you think we could talk about in the next Plant Care Tuesday video. But if not, we'll probably talk about alocasias and TC alocasias to share my found knowledge. Alright, y'all, enough talking. Y'all have a wonderful day wherever it's at, and happy Pride to you all. Y'all take care out there. Bye, everyone.